So apart from the fact that it's been 20 years since the original release of Spyro the Dragon, for me, it is a reunion after 20 years. With this prick. I hate that guy. What's happening, my fellow geeks and geekettes? Welcome to a brand new, very exciting episode of Cosplay Chris. Very exciting for me, very nostalgic for me. So today, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be reviewing a game. Don't do that. Today, I'm going to be reviewing Spyro the Reignited Trilogy. This is the remake of the first 3 Spyro games. So these games were announced back in April after the smash success of the remastering of the Crash Bandicoot trilogy. So originally these games were going to be released in September, they were delayed until November, and they finally hit the stores on Tuesday. So I've nearly smashed out 100% of the first Spyro game. I've gone through and played part 2 and part 3 with the main storyline, just so I can get a good idea of how these games hold up. And do they hold up? Oh my god, yes! Guys, this is nostalgic at its best and something new at its best. These games were developed by Toys for Bob. Now, originally, they had no code to work off the original game, so they created something called Spyro Scope. This scans the games and it picks up code. It can also figure out the height of Spyro, the distance he flies, the heights of dragons, characters, maps, worlds, everything, so they have a template to base it off. Absolutely incredible work, to say the least. So it goes without saying that this is a remake, not a remaster. If it were a remaster, they'd have the original code, the original game, and just pretty everything up, polish everything up, make it all high def. But no, in this case, they practically started from scratch with this Spyro Scope. It helped them make a base template and go from there. So the first game is on the disc itself. You do have to download 2 and 3, which doesn't take very long. But for the price of 49 Australian dollars, it's pretty good. It's one of the best buys I've had in a long time. One word to describe the look: sexy. The remakes of all 3 of these Spyro games is sexy. It is visually stunning, it sounds stunning, the gameplay is nice and fluid now. Obviously we have the updated controllers as opposed to the PS1 controllers. Mind you, it is sort of a little bit tricky to get used to at first because it's such a fluid movement happening now with the joysticks. But once you get used to it, you feel like a pro at this stuff. Now, one thing I loved about the first Spyro game is just how different and outside the box it was in terms of its mapping, its design, its character design. So obviously these games have been given a makeover, everything's in high def, everything's much more detailed. So these characters that have been brought from the original 3 games into these 3 remakes is absolutely amazing to look at. I mean, case in point, the dragons that you have to rescue in the first Spyro game. In the original game, they're all very generic looking, but in this one, they've been given an updated, fresh look. They all have their own personalities, their own traits, their own design. They even have bits of armor and clothing. So a lot of work has been put into each and every character, every blade of grass. There are times where I'll be playing either 1, 2, and 3, and you just stop and have a look at the scenery because it just looks beautiful. It's just colorful, it's vibrant. Now, I know this is only a minor little detail, but Spyro's little health buddy Sparks, the one that goes from gold, blue, to green when your health gets low. When Sparks loses his health, and obviously Spyro loses his health, when he goes to a green, he gets sad, he gets tired, he gets exhausted. And I love that. It's just little details like that that just makes me appreciate Toys for Bob and the effort they have gone to capture nostalgia, but also bring something new to these games. Now let's talk about the music / soundtrack to these games. The original soundtracks on the first 3 Spyro games are something I hold very near and dear to me, so much so I'll even have them playing on my laptop in the workshop whilst I'm working away because it's just such easy listening. They're memorable, you can hum to them, and they're just so unique. Stuart Copeland was the original composer for the first 4 Spyro games, so they have brought Stuart back to redo the music for these 3 games, and it sounds amazing. So much so, you can even revert back to the original soundtracks on these games if you want. You can even have it dynamic. So I was also doing my research on when they were doing the music for these 3 games, and from what I understand, when Toys for Bob approached Stuart Copeland and Insomniac, they didn't have breakdowns of the original soundtrack. They just had the completed files. They're obviously trying to emulate certain sounds for the remake soundtrack, and they kind of had to make it up from scratch because they didn't know what they used originally back in 97/98 when the first game was being developed. And it pays off. The new soundtrack sounds absolutely amazing, and honestly it kind of blends back into the original one. You don't even notice it, like I said, apart from a few bongo beats, a few drum beats here and there. Now my gripes of the games, they're only minute. If anything, it's just annoying nitpicking at this point. I feel when Spyro flames in these games that the flames aren't as forgiving as the flame feature in the original games, where you think you've hit something and you've pretty much hit the mark and the flame doesn't, you know, affect anything or anyone, whereas back in the original games it was much more forgiving. So that's one nitpick. And the last one, and I'm only saying this is because it annoyed me, because I can be quite crappy at gaming a lot, is they have remastered the Blades of Grass. Grass actually stands up now. It's just not a pixelated floor. So the one thing that I'm very OCD about is getting all the treasure and trying to max out 100% each level, each world, and a lot of treasure is lost in the tall grass. So keep that in mind, guys. If you are playing this game, go back amongst the tall grass, and I bet you that's where your missing treasure is if you're trying to max out and 100% the levels / worlds. And those are the only real nitpicks. Seriously, that's like bottom of the barrel stuff at this point. Guys, overall, I've had an absolute blast with the Reignited Trilogy. I'm still obviously going. I want a 100% part 1, 2, and 3, but I just wanted to get a feel and a run through of all 3 games for me to bring you guys a review, so I can't wait to get back into it. It's honestly reignited the child in me, because the first Spyro is a very special game to me. I still remember playing that when Dad brought it home back in '98, and it was honestly one of the funnest games I've ever played. I actually downloaded the original Spyro on the PS4 from the PlayStation Store a couple of years ago, and I loved it, if not more, and now this baby comes out and it's just beautiful. It's polished. They got the original composer back. The music is fantastic. So guys, with that being said, I'm going to be giving Spyro the Reignited Trilogy 4.5 geeks out of 5. And it's one of those things where I'm hoping that, you know, adults who have played Spyro back in the day introduce these games to their kids, and it kind of starts a new generation who haven't played the original games. I don't know, I just figured that'd be pretty cool. So guys, if you have played Spyro the Reignited Trilogy, please drop a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. If you have played the original trilogy, does this hold up? If you are new to the Spyro trilogy, please let me know your first initial thoughts. Guys, wherever you are in the world, have yourselves a cracker of a day. I hope you're well, hope you're happy, be merry, be silly, and until next time, geeks, please always remember, cosplayers do it best.